Get out of the way, you hippie. Clive, what the hell? I thought we were going on the road somewhere else, but you did a U-turn and we're still in fucking Connecticut.
Yes, unfortunately, and we dropped off our two hitchhikers as well, Gino and Eric. So it's just us two doing.
Oh, is that it? It's just us two, huh?
Yeah, we did have guides, local guides before, but it's just us two here in Connecticut because, yeah, I was quite ready to go on to another state, and then I realized we'd forgotten to do a very important kind of cult Connecticut movie. So I thought, you know, people would write in and complain because we have loads of people watching, of course.
Right.
And so we're still in Connecticut, you're quite right, Ron. And we're in 1964, and we're talking The Horror of Party Beach. Directed and produced by Adele Tenney, who shot this in Stamford, Connecticut, back to back with a film called The Curse of the Living Corpse, which I've never actually seen. Have you seen Curse of the Living Corpse, Ron?
No, I have not.
And had you seen Horror of Party Beach before? It is a bit of a cult.
No, I have not. No.
Okay. Yes. So written by a guy called Richard Hilliard as well, who was also the cinematographer, who made a strange sex movie called The Lonely Sex and some other movies in the 60s. And so this is a black and white kind of hybrid of those, you know, what's his name? Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello, like beach party movies.
Beach party movies, yeah, Beach Bingo and all of those.
Yeah, with horror, SF, Gillmen.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Black Lagoon.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Right.
You know, sort of things, yeah.
I was thinking about 16 years after this film, there was a film called Humanoids from the Deep. I don't know if you've seen that, which is kind of like this film ratcheted up. Like it's a really fun exploitation film from Roger Corman, and basically it's like in all these 50s and 60s films where, you know, the Gillmen attack women and then whatever they do is kind of off screen. In Humanoids from the Deep, they're full on rapists and there's like nudity and gore and stuff. So Humanoids from the Deep is quite a lot of fun if you've always weren't quite sure what those Gillmen wanted from those women and needed it spelling it out for you. Humanoids from the Deep is quite a lot of fun. But in this case,
so you really see the shape of water.
I don't understand, but I'm gonna smile and pretend because I'm
the shape of the water was the.
Sounds dirty. I'm not. I don't. Yeah. I don't. It's Christmas.
I'll let your imagination go with it.
As you can see in Ron's background is Christmas.
It's Christmas. Merry Christmas.
That's not a
Christmas in Connecticut. Isn't that a thing? Isn't that a movie called Christmas in Connecticut?
There's a haunting in Connecticut.
Haunting? That was a Christmas in Connecticut. I thought that was like a thing.
I mean, I'm sure they have Christmas there.
Yeah. I'm just saying that there is no Christmas, but I think there was like a isn't there like a movie or a series about Christmas in Connecticut or something? I don't know.
Did you just say there is no Christmas? This is a surprise to me.
What? No.
You just said there is no Christmas.
No, I said of course they have Christmas in Connecticut.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, of course they have Christmas, but I think that there's also like a Christmas in Connecticut like show or movie or something. I don't know if it's a thing.
Right. Anyway, we're getting derailed because we're talking Horror of Party Beach, and yeah, so at the beach, there's some bikers. First of all, we see the Charter Oaks Motorcycle Club is the first thing we see in this film. Don't really have anything to do with anything.
I'm going to cut into you. Yes, it was. It was a movie from 1945 with Barbara Stanwyck called Christmas in Connecticut.
There we go. Then.
And also a remake in 1992 with Diane Cannon and Chris Christopherson.
Shot to the top of my list.
There you go.
So there's teens are twisting at the beach. The band The Delaires are playing, including their song "The Zombie Stomp." Yeah. Very Beach Boys looking, aren't they, in their stripy Pendleton shirts, and they don't sound very Beach Boys, but they look very Beach Boys of this era, right?
Right. Did this is what, 64? You said
64, yeah.
When did the Beach Boys begin?
A couple of years before, maybe.
Years before. So this is like height of their popularity, kind of the idea.
Yeah, I think so. I think this would have been surfing safari era, like that.
Right.
And they were still a bit more in that phase of their career, kind of good time guys.
Right.
You know, although I suppose they never went out of that really. In you could say. Anyway, so yeah, so there's a lot of kind of cutaway beach party style gags, which are quite rubbish as well, right? Like one is like this hot blonde suddenly saunters past in her bikini and goes, "Hey Chuck, do you like bathing beauties or something?" And the reply is, "I don't know, I never gave one a bath." It's like, wow, that's really bad, right?
It's like, take my wife, please, right? Like that's.
Well,
like,
it's even not even that good, right? It's kind of stuff that Borscht Belt comedians would have cut off the act.
Right. Yeah.
We're not doing this.
Yeah.
And there's like the first one is there's like a girl jiggling in her bikini. She's twisting, and there's a close up on her buttocks, you know, and a guy goes, "That reminds me, did I bring my hot dog buns?"
Hot dog buns, yeah.
Which is like the funniest one, which is just to give you an idea of how unfunny the white screen.
Unfunny it is, yeah.
Anyway, while all this,
but it's sort of funny how unfunny they are, though. So.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And then some people are dumping radioactive waste. It even says radioactive waste on the side of the canisters.
Right. Just in case you weren't sure. Yeah.
Into the waters just off the coast, I guess. And I don't know why they didn't go further up to sea. Anyway.
Why need to?
So there's a long transformation scene, like a time lapse thing, but it cheats as well because it's like cutaways, right? So there's like a skull. I think it starts as a skull. There's a skull at the bottom of the sea, and then the radioactive waste, I guess, mixes with it, and then it slowly becomes something, and then eventually they become these quite extraordinary, goofy-looking
fishmen.
Yeah, like googlers and open mouths and some.
Yeah. What are they like hot dogs in their mouth or something? Like, what was it? That's what I was like. What is in their mouth? What is that supposed to be?
Yeah, their mouths never close. I don't.
They're like these like poke like things like
proboscis or something. There's something slightly gross about those. I didn't like those proboscis sticking out.
Oh yeah.
Like that. But anyway, yeah. So they kill a girl, and the body washes up on the beach, and yeah, that's it. Gillmen Attack, basically, right? They're on the rampage. It's interesting I mentioned the humanized from the deep. This is not in any way, shape, or form graphic, although some of the bloody dead bodies, I suppose, are slightly shocking for 1964 in general. Right. But there's a slight frisson, like when the Gillmen attack, they attack a slumber party, right? And apparently slaughter like 20 girls all in one go.
Right.
Which, even though you don't see it, seems a bit heavy for this kind of film. It's like,
right.
Oh. And then when you do have scenes of these men in monsters like dragging girls and screaming, even though there's nothing graphic about it, there's something slightly dodgy, isn't there? There's like a slight frisson of like, what are these fishmen up to? Like, they're only attacking women, you know.
Well, no, because they do attack other people, don't they? They attack guys later, don't they? Because I did want to make a special shout out to the two drunk guys.
Oh, yes.
They're my favorite, right? So
yes, there's comic relief drink driving in it, isn't there?
Yeah. And they had probably my favorite line of this entire movie was from those two drunk guys. So they're just sort of like, again, sort of vignettes of like there's these people on the beach and this happens, these people on the beach and this happens. It's just sort of like little things here and there. And these two random drunk guys of being thrown out of a bar, and they come out and they have this like shockingly deep line where they're thrown out, and the one guy goes, I wrote it down, he goes, "We are unwanted." The other guy goes, "Outcasts." And the guy goes, "Orphans of the storm." "What storm?" "The storm of my soul." And I was like, wait, what movie am I watching? What's happening here? I thought this was a beach movie about, monsters from the radioactive monsters. "The storm of my soul."
Oh,
I was
no.
like,
We're dealing with something a lot more profound here, right?
we turned into French cinema all of a sudden, right? So it was. So anyway, I thought that was.
You haven't seen much French cinema.
I don't know. It just got real like whoa, real profound and deep. I was like, oh, what's happening here? So anyway, I and then they sort of go off to do some like drunk guy comedy relief, and then have a car accident with each other.
You can't do anymore, right?
Yeah.
Also, I think you can't do anymore is the stereotyped cowardly black maid character
yes.
who believed in voodoo, like
who did the full on like stereotype black maid like accent, right?
Right.
Hey, massa, like that kind of stuff, right?
Her name's Ebula as well.
Yeah.
Which is a very kind of maid-like name.
Right. Yeah.
Ebula, isn't it? It's I don't know. I might be straying into probably.
No, I don't know. It was.
But the whole thing is, it seems like something from a couple of decades earlier, almost, doesn't it? Like.
Right.
I mean, she turns out to be vindicated in the end. Like, she turns out to kind of accidentally save the day. But certainly in that first scene where you see her, it's like, oh, this is kind of rough. And the wise white man with his pipe.
Even in the 60s,
is almost shaking his head like, oh, you silly coon, kind of, it almost says. It's like,
it was like, even in the 60s, it was a bit like, whoa, this makes me feel a little uncomfortable watching this.
We're talking kind of peak civil rights here. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's very much a modern day audience finding something that people at the time probably wouldn't.
They did. Yeah.
Although I would imagine African Americans watching it probably would have had a problem.
Probably would have, yes.
So yes, and so it's monstery stuff. How are we going to defeat the monsters? Eventually, they discover sodium, race against time. Gillmen almost get the girl, blah 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 blah. I mean, that's about it.
Big explosive climax where it makes them all blow up. Apparently,
right. Yes. So this film does have somewhat of a cult following, as I mentioned, and I think the very first time I saw this film, I felt slightly let down by it, just because it has such a cult reputation, and the monsters are cool. They're kind of goofy looking. I like the monsters. But then the rest of the film is like, it kind of is what it is. It's kind of fun, I suppose, if you're in the mood for it. But I remember the first time seeing it, because I was expecting some kind of cult classic. I did find it a bit of a letdown. Coming into it this time, it's still not really a great cult film, I don't think. But because I knew what it was, I kind of had a bit more fun with it this time, maybe than the first time, because, coming in with expectations and all that. So what did you make of Horror of Party Beach, it being your first watch? And prior to that, was it on your radar at all? Had you heard of it?
No, never heard of this movie, So, so I never even heard of it. So I had no expectations going in. So that, at least I was saved from that. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was good fun. It was, I don't know if it was like, was it supposed to be sort of like was it supposed to be shocking at the time? Like, was it like with the amount of gore that it kind of implied, as you were saying about the 20 people at once? It's like, was it supposed to be like a?
I don't know. I was wondering about this. I was thinking maybe more in retrospect, it seems. I think because
was it meant to be almost like a parody? Because like with like all the really bad jokes and the beach ideas, like was it meant to be sort of like a send up of those type of movies, or like what was it supposed to be?
No, I don't think it was meant to be a parody. I think that stuff just came out of the fact that they were aping the beach party films.
Right.
I think it was just, oh, let's make a beach party film, but let's also put monsters in.
Monsters in it, right?
And then this is the result, rather than them. I don't think they would, like, for instance, none of the horror scenes they're played fairly seriously, right? I don't think they're making fun of horror cliches or anything like that.
Right.
Those scenes, like I said, they, apart from having these kind of goofy monsters in the middle of them, they're kind of not scary or anything, but they're kind of atmospheric. And more than anything, I just found them a bit like I didn't expect. I'd forgotten that there were like 20 girls all killed in one go.
Right.
Kind of, oh, what a bummer. I mean, we were just and thinking about hot dog buns, and and then suddenly there's a.
Well, that's what I mean. There was such like a mood shift from like this sort of like beach movie with like bad puns, going all right to like massacres.
I'm gonna have to answer the phone in the middle of this.
Okay.
Hello. I'm good. How are you, Eddie? Ah, nice. Oh, okay. I didn't get it. Okay. Thanks, Eddie. Bye-bye. Ah, that was the sound of me not getting a job. Yes, I was keeping the next 5 days. It turns out I didn't get the job. So, anyway, back to Horror Party Beach. Yeah, sorry, you were saying, I interrupted you, I believe, or we were talking about the heaviness of the horror.
Yeah, so I didn't like, it was so like such a huge tone shift between the two elements of the movie that I didn't really understand. Like, was it meant? I thought maybe it was meant to be a parody of one or both of the genres. It was such a mashup of those two things. So it was, and I couldn't tell if it was doing it well or not.
Right.
That was
it made me think a little bit as well of like, if Trauma had been making films in the early 60s, they might have done something like this. Or
Full Moon Pictures.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't for like the goofy fish masks,
yes,
I thought it was quite effective. I thought a lot of it, like some of the camera work was quite good. I wish there was a couple of elements where they were kind of like, it was almost shaky cam, where they were showing just sort of elements, like just like a shoulder or like just like a scale or something like that, and like where you didn't really see it very clearly. I thought that stuff was quite effective, and it was quite well done. If they had done that for most of the movie, rather than relying on these really stupid looking masks, if they had just done, you never really see what they look like the whole movie, it would have been like a really decent horror movie. I thought, it would have been quite good. So yeah, I just thought it was the ridiculous looking like paper mache masks kind of ruined it a little bit. So
I'm of the other way. I'm thinking that if they didn't have those ridiculous monsters, I'm not sure if anyone would remember this film.
Well,
I think
that's the thing is that, but if they, because they had the kind of ridiculous masks, I was wondering if it was meant to be a parody. That's why they were like, it's like, oh, look at these, like, it was a send up of those really bad, monster movies of the 40s and the 20s and 30s and 40s, whatever, right? So, but because they must have had more money to be able to do than those stupid masks, right? In the 60s. I don't know. So
wait, I don't think it's even a budget thing necessarily. Like they're quite. I mean, if I went round to someone's house and they said, "I've made a monster suit," and they showed me that, I'd be quite impressed in terms of, oh, that's quite well put together. It's not so much that it's badly made. It's just such a strange choice, like you said, to have those proboscis coming out the mouth and the big googly. Like, it doesn't look like it's impoverished. It just looks like a very peculiar design choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, whether by accident or design, obviously this makes the tone of the film kind of weird. So I kind of guess why it does have that cult following, because on the one hand, it is kind of relatively effective and kind of has these heavy scenes which are quite kind of progressive for 64, but then also have these goofy looking things in the middle. So it's an odd, it certainly has its own tone that no other film has, right?
Right.
So I kind of get the cult following, but at the same time it suffers from, I think it's one of those things, if you would have found it on late night television by yourself, you'd be ringing around all your friends. Did you see horror party?
Yeah.
But then if you have it set up for you that it's going to be kind of great, then it's a bit of a letdown.
And just out of curiosity, if you know, were there other movies of its ilk at this time? Like, were there other movies similar to it around that time?
The only one that springs to mind is there's one I've always quite liked called Monster from the Surf, which has a theme tune. There's a monster in the surf, with music by Frank Sinatra Jr. actually, and that's a similar Gillmen horror mixed with beach party musical kind of, which I always preferred. I'm not sure where they made that. It might turn up later in the Septic genre. I'm not sure whether. I think that might be California, maybe. But, So I don't really have much more to say about it, and this is kind of a supplemental episode anyway, so we don't have to wrap it on. But do you have any further things to add to Horror of Party Beach, Ron?
Nope. I enjoyed it though. It was good. It was fun. I mean, I didn't love it, but it was enjoyable though.
Right. Yes. No, I think that's probably right. If you don't have any expectations, then it does have a kind of appeal to it. It's a bit of an oddity that's kind of worth a look if you're interested in cinematic oddities. Right. As long as you don't and I think its cult following is less now than it was when I'd first read about it. Back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s, it was on that list of must-see cult films or whatever. And I think in the interim, it's kind of gone off that list. And obviously there's a whole lot more things being uncovered since then as well. So I guess it's no longer and maybe that's where it belongs. So maybe that's the best way for it to exist, as a little surprise for viewers rather than something that you're revved up to see, right?
Right.
Speaking of revving up, off we go on to our next. Hang on.
So we're actually leaving the state this time?
I believe so. So. And we're heading to. Hang on. Put the parking brake.
You're getting out your road map.
We are heading next. Oh, okay. So we're heading next to upstate New York. So we're getting into. There's going to be quite a lot of episodes covering quite a lot of films over the greater New York area, but we start in upstate New York. So that'll be our next episode or episodes. So anyway, you can tell Ron's can't wait to see what cinematic treats I have. Right, belt up, Ron. Put your shut up and put your belt on.
You drive, I'm going to sleep.
Right.